Ahoy folks, I'm Craigo of Pure Xbox, and today, well, we're reviewing poker? Not your bog standard poker, oh no, we're taking a look at PJ O'Reilly's Balatro review for PureXbox.com, and I'm spinning it into a fancy video just for you. Let's hit the cards. The only experience that PJ has ever had with poker is reluctantly standing beside a nicotine-addled school friend in a smoky 90s arcade while they mindlessly pumped all of their pennies into what was surely the most boring game ever invented on planet Earth. The end. I'm sorry, poker fans. It seems PJ really doesn't care for your game, and to be honest, I don't really either. But anyway, it stands to reason then that we fully expected to suffer terribly through reluctantly learning the various mechanics and rules of this casino classic before attaining the level of knowledge required to properly engage with Balatro, or indeed write a review that makes any lick of sense. The genius of this game, however, is that even if you're a complete and utter, as PJ puts it, hashtag poker plonker, it's an immediate and absolute joy to sit down with, and one that requires zero learning in advance. If you've been reading, listening, or watching all of the banging reviews that have already dropped this week and feel as though your lack of enthusiasm for poker or cards counts you out of the party, then fear not, as we genuinely struggle to even count to 21 without a calculator, and we're having the time of our lives. Local Thunk's wonderfully unique and evocative roguelike deck builder nails the glitchy CRT vibes of those big old wooden paneled poker machines that we stood and watched for so many hours back in the day. The layout of your board, and definitely not the correct terminology, the way the cards move around the screen and the little blips and boops and graphical anomalies as circuit boards are fried by secondhand silk cut smoke, it's all present and correct here, albeit sieved through another dimension before reaching your eye and or ear holes. Balatro takes the bones of poker, and the desire to Google what the bones of poker are overwhelming right now, and it adds a whole bunch of cool collectible cards on top of your basic poker deck. As you play, the aim is to face off against a succession of increasingly difficult dealers, here framed as boss battles, attempting to beat their chip score to move on to the next opponent. As you attempt a fresh run, you'll kick off with a basic deck that starts occurring cash via matches, enabling you to purchase collectible jokers, tarots, and various foil packs of very sexy ability cards that power up this base deck. Starting your first round, you'll find it hard, perhaps to best even the lowest of what the game calls big blinds. We're sure that big blind is some sort of thing that we've heard in the Ocean's 11's franchise a whole bunch of times over the years. It definitely rings a bell, and so it's likely to be related to cards in some way. All that we know is that saying it out loud makes us feel like Julia Roberts. Basically, you need to hit the current dealer's set score in the allotted number of turns, or hands if you think you're Andy Garcia. And to do this, we must struggle through our first match. A good way to learn what a pair or flush or straight is, and then we'll have enough cash to pick up some goodies from the shop you'll return to betwixt rounds. Maybe you'll choose to purchase a shiny tarot card that raises the level and power of any pair, meaning when you play a pair is any two of the same card. Literally learning poker is a completely different language. Anyway, you'll get extra points and bonuses and multipliers and all of that video game stuff. There are 150 Joker cards. Some of them do bland things like just give you a straight up boost for a certain type of play, whilst others do crazy stuff that we just won't spoil because it's all fun. That's the fun of the game. All of these appear at random in the shop and they all look really cool. So you immediately want to nab as many of them as you can so they can be displayed in your in-game collection that you can look over later. The addiction, it's already settled in. Add this to all matter of one-time boon-applying vouchers, glass cards, stone cards, ghost decks, gold decks, spectral cards, paper cut, and carpal tunnel in both hands, and so on. There's so much going on here, and it's genuinely incredible that it remains so addictively freewheeling and simple to play. In the end, this fusion of regular old poker and the game's spaced out vibe and a genuinely wild and wacky selection of special cards and cool ideas makes for a worryingly Moorish mutant of a thing that we did not see coming, and one which has absolutely blindsided us. Having a fear of many intricacies of poker, or indeed just finding it all terminally boring, is a very common affliction. One for which we reckon Balatro may very well be a new miracle cure. Balatro is an incredibly clever indie gem that uses the bones of regular poker to build an incredibly approachable and fiendishly addictive new experience. There's a wonderfully slick core to this one, building decks and taking on dealers as you add wild special cards and variables to your pack is trance-inducing stuff, and backed by a fantastically understated soundtrack and perfect visuals, it makes for one of the first proper, actual, absolute must-play games of 2024. Well then, has anybody else jumped on Balatro before watching this review? Did it surprise you by how addictive the gameplay loop is? It certainly took me off guard, which is not great for the jet lag that I'm suffering from, because I tell you, having traveled back from the US to the UK this week, I don't need any excuse not to sleep when I should, and Balatro kept me up until 4 AM last night. 4 AM! Call me irresponsible or what? It's kind of mad how great this little game is though, because for one, I've paused spreading intergalactic democracy sandwiches for a few rounds of glitchy poker, and I hate poker. It's weird. It's so weird. Balatro must be great to, you know, have turned two poker loathers into nocturnal red-eyed fiends gagging for chips. But anywho, let us know if you'll be picking up the game in the comments, and be sure to head on over to purexbox.com for more reviews like this one, and subscribe to the channel just for the fun of it, because why not? As always, thanks for watching. All that's left to say is bye-bye for now. Balatro!